welcome one and all to another extraordinary edition of not just the Court Martial Podcast, but also the Totally Awesome Podcast. I'll let the host himself introduce it here in a second, but I am your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty. Grammar Note Sky will be joining us a little bit. It is an incarnation of our illustrious co-host, the man of the hour, the man with the power too sweet to be sour, the Bay Area brawler himself. But we are here doing a Royal Rumble 2021 review, and with me today for a very exciting simulcast, the monster-chugging, Sonic Heroes-hugging, penis-tugging champion of South Carolina. He's a man where if malfunctioning technology were Jedi, he'd be slaughtering the younglings, Mr. Peace and Serenity himself, JoshAgeddon. Welcome to the Court Martial Podcast and to your own show.
Before the show, he legit told me you're gonna have to hold your laughter before until I finish. God, that was difficult. Bravo! They keep improving.
Thank you, sir.
They keep improving. Welcome, everybody.
Silence meant that all of that was true.
All of that was true. I love me some good dick tugging. Anyway,
he's the champion.
Yes, I'm the world heavyweight champion.
A South Carolina champion.
I'm the South Carolina champion of your third leg.
That's right. Tripod, if you will, if you're of that filming variety. Anyway.
But yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Totally Awesome Podcast, the worst podcast you ever heard. So bad it'll make you tap out. And like Sean said, we are going to be reviewing the 2021 Royal Rumble.
As if this opening 2 minutes weren't enough to turn people away already. But that's what we do here, and we have got an exciting card, 6 matches, and whatever that performance was in the middle, which we'll talk about.
Oh, God, we will get to that.
Let's hear from our esteemed co-host here for the Royal Rumble review. This is, of course, the persona of Grammar Note Sky and
Skyler Notebird.
Bear with me here. I'm going to have to polish this up a little bit.
Yeah, this time the notes were sent to Sean. Not
right.
me.
So this is new. This is the first time, I think, this is the first time that Grammar Note Sky has ever appeared on the Court Martial Podcast.
Yeah, so for Court Martial Podcast listeners, we're shaking it up a little bit.
That's right. Because we're breaking new ground, I figured it was appropriate that I read the notes this time. So, from Grammar Note Sky, hello Joshua and Sean, it is I, the notes of Skyler Greenberg, ready to review WWE's first pay-per-view for 2021, the Royal Rumble. Due to certain issues with the last notes that I sent, having some racy comments and insane use of swear words. Because nobody says controversy quite like Skyler Greenberg.
There was some black-on-black violence on the show, but we'll get to that.
That's true. And I will attempt to be cleaner in how I do my notes. I also want to give Joshua a break and not read a wrestling dissertation. I think he spelled that right?
I highly doubt it.
Joshua gets no faith. Zero faith whatsoever.
He said Shinsake Nakamura last time.
Now, because I think he didn't realize that this was also going to be the Court Martial Podcast, this next thing I'm going to say, he didn't mean it. He didn't mean what he said here. I'm going to allow him a pass on this one. Joshua gets enough work as it is carrying Sean on his back during these reviews.
Wow.
But I am excited for this event because the Royal Rumble has always been my favorite gimmick match. He didn't mean that. I'm just going to say, I'm giving the pass. He didn't mean that. But this year feels weird since there are no fans and Kevin Dunn piping in all the sounds his keyboard can muster. The card before the show did not excite me, and WWE's production and commentary means the show will be limited in how good it actually is. I just hope tonight's show does not let us down so we can kick off 2021 in style. Well, how did you feel about this show?
Overall, I was pleasantly surprised.
Agreed. This match, to me, or this whole show, I think everything was a pleasant surprise. There was nothing here that was egregiously offensive.
Other than that stupid drone camera.
Well, and that was pretty much it. And now that I have gotten confirmation that yes, that indeed was a drone. And we'll talk about that a little bit later for when it actually came into play here. But we start off the night with the pre-show. Now, I know the answer to this question, but did you watch the pre-show?
Let's see. No, I did not.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think I've been doing these reviews with this mother clucker for a good, I don't know, what, 5-6 years now? 6 or 7.
Something like that.
I think we're at. I don't think I've ever had this dude watch the pre-show in the entire 7 years that we've been doing these things.
I'm allergic to them.
Well, you didn't miss much in this one, so I'm gonna just go ahead and go through this real quick. It's Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, two of your favorite people, versus Charlotte and Asuka for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Let me ask you something, Mr. Geddon. If this was on the main card, would you have cared about this match?
I think it was perfectly placed on a show that I'm not going to watch.
Well, that's exactly the way that I felt about this. This match was just, it was so-so. I mean, it really didn't have much substance to it. Let me read to you what Skyler said first.
Oh, and real quick, there's a slight echo on your side from me that I keep hearing. Do you know if you can do anything about that?
I might or might not. That's going to be a solid maybe.
We're professionals, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. There's nothing better than a solid maybe, and hearing this live.
Yeah.
It's more than one thing to have this happen and then edit it out, but no, you get the full, unedited, unmolested, uncut version of these podcasts for your entertainment.
We have no right. We have no right to criticize Skyler's writing because this is our production.
Well, let's see Skyler's writing, and let's see if we can criticize it, shall we? Might as well give that the old college try. It is amazing how WWE has gotten us to not care about any of the women in the ring, which is what I just said. It is an art how they take talented people and strip them of anything that makes them interesting and put them out on TV to slowly die in front of us. I can't disagree with that.
That's very well put.
No lie, the only thing I legit popped for is when Asuka and Nia Jax had the octopus submission move, which allowed me to yell out, "It's octopus! The octopus! The octopus! Tap out! Tap out!" I believe that was a Magnation reference.
Yeah, because every time someone would do any kind of submission move, Magnitude would shout about the octopus.
Octopus, tap out. That's right.
Except it would be deadpan. It'd be like, octopus, octopus, tap out, tap out. That's what made it so great.
So for those of you who are not getting any of our references, that is another YouTube channel you should take a look at. I will pop that link into the description.
Yo, that's old school. That's old school.
Old school E-Feds there. Back to Sky. The only other things I noticed was the weird eyeshadow that Shayna and Nia Jax had, which was so stupid. Did you notice this in the Women's Rumble?
Honestly, I was too blinded by Rhea Ripley's eyeshadow.
So Nia Jax, okay, WWE is good at video production. That's all I'm giving credit for. They are not good. These women, I don't know whether they're doing it themselves or they have a makeup artist in the back, but the eyes of these women, you gotta stop. Stop it. Just keep it simple. So, because Shayna Baszler was wearing gold, Nia Jax had gold, basically wings, just not as large as Ronda Rousey's.
She couldn't fly away on those wings.
Because she was wearing red, Shayna Baszler had the same thing, but red tips. It was so pointless, and it also looked sloppy. Charlotte looks really rusty, and that's the other thing I noticed was the weird eyeshadow and how sloppy Charlotte was. Asuka came out of this looking weak AF, which is no surprise because you can't spell Asuka without suck.
You know what? That's true. That is true.
Okay, that one was mine, but I had to throw it in there.
That is true. That was really good.
The finish was super Charlotte booking, where it took not just the Ric Flair distraction or Lacey Evans messing up the figure four, but loading the women's right with the brass knucks to get the queen to go down, and Nia Jax's leg drop was ass. This match was easily the worst of the night and set up the very real possibility that Charlotte drops the tag title so she can win the Women's Rumble and challenge Asuka for the title. Joy. Thankfully, that didn't happen. But that was Skyler's notes. Skyler pretty much summed everything up here for me. I don't really have much else to say. I I wonder how many of these Kevin Thunderdome faces are recycles at this point.
If you look closely, you can see it's like watching a bunch of GIFs.
Yeah, it really is.
Because they repeat the same animations.
Yeah, and most of the time you can even tell where the boxes are, too.
And speaking of Kevin Dunn, I have a real issue with how he did the Sasha Banks Carmella match. There was one thing in particular that he did that really got on my nerves, but we'll get to that in a couple minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's really not much else to talk about this. Asuka didn't even bring the Raw Women's title with her. Because why not? I mean,
dude,
we want to talk about the worst, and for as much as Asuka was great coming out of NXT, easily the worst Raw Women's Champion of all time has got to be Asuka.
Or like the Raw Women's Champion you just don't care about.
Yeah.
Just the least interesting.
And then Asuka makes her own comeback before she tagged Charlotte Flair, so there was no hot tag. It wasn't hot at all. There was, they mentioned that Nia caused Charlotte's injury. Shocker. But of course she comes back. Then Charlotte does the moonsault that she does every match and lands half of the time. This one was one of those times that she did not land it at all.
Did she do that god-awful Uranagi backbreaker?
No. Maybe? I don't remember. If she did, I repressed it from my brain.
It looks worse every time she does it.
No, but what she did was this moonsault. Basically, she just put her arms out. Both of her arms kind of touched Shayna and Nia, and then she just landed on her feet, and all three took a bump. It was blah. And then, as Sky said, Ric Flair comes in with Lacey Evans because apparently they're screwing, is the gimmick? I'm not sure.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Lacey comes in, distracts Charlotte. That isn't enough. Charlotte tries to lock in the figure eight. Lacey hits the figure eight. Then there's supposed to be a comeback. Then Lacey pulls out brass knucks, hits the brass knucks on Charlotte, so Charlotte's knocked out after all of that so that Nia and Shayna, the MMA fighter and the big beefy lady, could beat Charlotte Flair.
You wonder why I don't watch the pre-show.
And, you know, what occurred to me was that how little value do Shayna and Nia have to have if that's how much it took? If they in the whole series of this matchup, in winning the women's tag titles, if the main story here wasn't the Raw Women's Champion Asuka, it wasn't the women who were going to win the tag belts, it was Charlotte Flair and Lacey Evans.
And Ric Flair.
If you're the third wheel in a tag match where you're winning the tag titles, someone's doing something wrong here.
And also, just remember, a year ago, Shayna Baszler eliminated everyone in the Elimination Chamber.
Yep. Yeah.
How the mighty have fallen.
That kind of bad booking is a skill. It's a skill.
Hey, Skyler said it best. I mean, they're really good at just stripping everything good away from these superstars to where it's just skin and bones.
Yeah. They don't get people over, they get people under.
It's just another body on the screen.
Yep. And now, why don't you get involved in this podcast, Mr. Geddon? This is partially your show.
I know, but it's just like, I don't watch... Actually, I take that back. I kind of watched the kickoff show because I did do a live stream, but I really did not pay attention at all. I mean...
in all fairness to you, though, the pre-show, other than that match, is hot garbage.
The panel that they do is one of the worst things that they do.
Cancer. It is cancer.
What they're trying to do, they're trying to emulate real sports, where there's a panel where they have actual experts just talking. The reason why those work is because they might have a few bullet points that they're supposed to go over, but it's improvised. You cannot do it scripted and have it work.
And the other big part of that is when it comes to WWE's format, they've pretty much thrown out everything else that could be quantified or justified as sport in the show. Why would you have a panel to try and make it look like a sport when you've literally destroyed everything else that made it look like a sport?
I have no idea.
Because WWE.
It makes no sense.
Well, thank God NBC's going to take care of this.
And every single time they do this, they have either that dude that kind of looks like the guy that's in every Will Ferrell movie. I can't remember his name. The one with the afro. Or the bald guy, the one that won the 24/7 title on this show.
Yeah, Peter Grossenberg.
Peter Grossenberg. Who are these people?
Disgusting as a human being.
Like, his beady little eyes, every time he talks, just creep me out.
I don't... What is his relationship to wrestling?
I don't know. Him or Seth Rogen, middle-aged Seth Rogen guy. I don't know.
Oh, Shane McMahon?
No. Seriously, these panels are the worst. They're some of the worst things that WWE does because it's so fake and phony.
When JBL is the highlight of the panel, that's how you know the panel is a dumpster. And I like JBL a lot, but like JBL sometimes is drier than the piece of driftwood that got beached onto the ocean that somebody took it home and is sitting inside their closet.
Depressed, wondering what I'm doing with my life, JBL was the only highlight of any time that I went to the panel on the show.
That was my favorite part, and we'll get to that later. Well, actually, no, let's talk about it now, because all this 24/7 stuff is just crap. And we all know it's crap. I'm sorry.
I hate this belt.
I like R-Truth, but I don't want to see this guy. I don't want to see any of it. I don't want to see the belt.
This joke is dead.
To overstate its welcome.
It's the same thing over and over. The way people win the belt is the same thing over and over. They always use the schoolboy.
Yep.
We've seen this before.
So many schoolboys that they would have actually, gone to class and learned how to do something else.
Oh, God. I hate the 24/7 belt so much. It was dumb when it was introduced. It looks like a watch.
It basically is a watch.
It's
a good thing because when it's on, everybody's looking at the watch wondering how long the segment's going to last.
I mean, it's like they think that's why the hardcore title was interesting. The hardcore title wasn't just the 24/7 title.
Well, and it wasn't even just weapons either. It was a lot of it being the guys who had it.
It was a combination of things. It just wasn't one characteristic of the belt.
Yeah, say what you want about Crash Holly, but the way that he won and lost and won and lost and won and lost that belt was so entertaining. Because he was entertaining and he made that belt, and it just doesn't have the same effect at the different time, at the different audience. And it just, when Rob Gronkowski is winning that belt at WrestleMania,
Santa won this belt.
Yeah, Alicia Fox won this belt. Well, we'll get to that.
I hate Alicia Fox. I hate Alicia Fox so much.
You gotta treat her with respect now, Joshua. It's WWE legend Alicia Fox.
Oh,
now.
barf. The Bella Twins are going in the Hall of Fame, and I'm gonna kill myself.
Well, speaking of old people in the Hall of Fame that make you want to kill yourself.
Oh, God. Are we talking about Goldberg? Oh, Lord. I can't wait to see Skyler's notes for this match.
The first match is Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg, and once again, the WWE Championship opens up the show.
Just name it the Super Intercontinental title at this point.
Well, first of all, WWE we have to just accept at this point that WWE does not care about the WWE title. Period. Now, in all fairness,
it's named after your company.
I know. But in all fairness to WWE, with TLC, I kind of understood with the way that the rest of the card was structured. Same with this show, I understand given what was coming the rest of the show. Where else do you put this on the card?
I mean, honestly, when it comes to the Royal Rumble should always main event the Royal Rumble show.
Yeah.
So I get that. The Rumble and the Elimination Chamber are the two times where I'm like, all right, if the WWE title opens this show, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, this was just some fortunate circumstance, but I think this ended up having the best outcome because we were all expecting this to be the dumpster that it was going to be. We all expected Goldberg to walk away with this belt. Dude,
when Goldberg's music started playing and everyone was like, this match is first, everyone was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Just immediately starting the show with severe anxiety.
But when Goldberg came up first, I was a little hopeful. Because when
Also,
they lead with the champion, you know that they're dropping the belt.
His shorts, he doesn't look as intimidating in shorts.
Well, that was taken straight out of the discount selection from the Brock Lesnar series.
And there was like no design on the front. It was like he just walked out in boxers.
It was like he asked his kids for a pair of shorts before he went out.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, I need something to wear. I totally forgot I was having this match.
But if it was like straight up black tights, then it would be like, oh, he's channeling OG 1990s Goldberg. You know, when Goldberg was relevant?
Yeah. But it made me laugh, too, because there was during the pre-show, they had this moment where they just had the camera on the door, like Goldberg's door. And then the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, they're showing us early how Bill Goldberg's going to concuss himself.
That's what I was thinking, too. Just, they zoom in on the door, and all of a sudden you hear the door slams, and then Goldberg comes out later with a hole in his head.
Well, thankfully it didn't even get to that. This match was a solid 2.5 minutes. Started with Drew with the spear, which I thought was nice, but this match I thought was fairly formulaic.
It's the Goldberg match. We've seen it a million times.
Yeah, it's like, and no offense to Drew, it's nothing wrong with Drew. Drew did everything he could to make this match watchable.
Yeah.
He really did. And he knew, I think that Drew knew that this match was going to be shit.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways it was, but the outcome of this, where it wasn't Goldberg winning, far offset how bad the quality of this match was.
People talk about the jackhammer that Goldberg gave The Fiend last year was awful.
Was pretty bad.
This one, I would argue, was worse. Because that jackhammer at least had some impact behind it. This one, Drew's feet hit the ground a split second before his back did, completely killed all of the momentum of that move. It was such a gentle landing.
Everything that Goldberg did in this match sucked. Even his shoot-off. Did you see when he was doing
the Irish whip to the outside into the steel steps? It was so gentle.
How do you fuck that up?
It's so gentle. He's literally a roided up geezer.
It's like the basics. How do you mess that up? I'm like, and did you see how blown up he was after this match?
Yes, and like even his spear, he's scared to follow through with the spear, so it just looks like a gore.
Dude, he was heaving at the end of this. I'm so glad that Drew won this match,
dude.
And they just did a little hug out and fight. But this begs the next question: what the hell was the point of Goldberg coming back in the first place?
I guess so Drew McIntyre could beat a legend, I guess, and Goldberg has a few more dates on his contract, I guess, so they were like, oh, let's kill two birds with one stone.
I understand that, but why would you do this instead of just going with the Sheamus feud that you're going to do anyway?
Sean, you're trying to...
I know, you're right. No,
Sean.
You're so right. I know what you're about to say.
Sean.
You're right. I need to stop.
I will say the best thing about this is, regardless of what you think of Goldberg, Drew McIntyre pinned a legend clean.
Yes.
And he looked dominant.
Big.
So, Goldberg finally put him over. So that's fine.
That's right. We'll have to just take that and cut our losses.
Yeah.
As it were.
This is the best case scenario with what we were given.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And now would you like to hear what Grammar Notes Sky has to say?
I am so ready.
All right. It says, I'm going to give WWE credit for doing something I did not expect them to do. And that is subverting our expectations.
Our low expectations.
They painted the picture as they have several times before. Part-time wrestler of yesteryear comes back and wins the world title from a full-time wrestler. The match was even booked to play on this feeling, while Drew attacked Goldberg before the bell, only for Goldberg to turn it around and spear him through the barricade. Drew hit the Claymore, Goldberg kicks out, starts doing his spears and a crappy jackhammer. You could say that again. And we thought it was over. That is not a sentence. But Drew McIntyre kicked out and hope began to grow. Drew dodges launches another spear and hits a
Hope
second
began to
Claymore.
grow. Continue.
That is it. Yes. Oh, of course. Hope, we had seeds planted that Hope was going to grow, which the seeds were planted when Goldberg came out first.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of growing on this show.
Yeah. Well, of course.
During the Women's Royal Rumble, Jerry Lawler's pants were growing.
That's right. Well, you are the champion in South Carolina. Lawler might have something to say about that.
Oh, hell yeah. Me and Jerry Lawler are going to have a sword fight. Anyway, continue.
We can question the purpose of even doing this match. If Goldberg was not going to win, only to drop it to Drew later, which I still would have hated. And the match itself was still terrible because Goldberg is not Brock Lesnar and is never going to be Brock Lesnar. So thanks for coming, Goldberg, and go back to whatever hole you came from and stay there.
Wow.
Watch Goldberg leave WWE and go to AEW and win the AEW World Title from Sting in 2021.
Oh, please.
Let's make it happen.
It's like, have him do it with a cattle prod. Make Goldberg a heel, use a cattle prod when the referee's not looking, and then jackhammer, boom, 1, 2, 3.
We need Scott Hall back.
Yeah, like have Scott Hall and Goldberg team up.
Screw this. Let's reform the NWO.
Yes.
Let's get Hogan back out here. Let's get Nash back out here. Six-Pac. You gotta have Six-Pac. I don't care. You can drop everybody else. Gotta have Six-Pac.
It's gotta be the EWO, though. The Elite World Order.
It might do like a hack where just like Six-Pac, in order to be a faction, Six-Pac has to be in your faction at some point.
Yes.
Otherwise, they don't count it as a faction.
I need to put Six-Pac in the Clown World Order to make it official.
That's right. But this match is
he was never in the Supremacy. That's why the Magnation isn't a channel anymore.
That's right. Never had Six-Pac. Blue Crew would have lived if they had gotten Six-Pac.
Yeah.
Loud pollution, Six-Pac. Needed Six-Pac. Do the love you moment. Anyway, I'm just happy that Big Daddy Drew is still champion. Thank you, Vince. Number 1. That sounded weird.
You can Claymore Skyler any day. Anyway.
He actually thanked Vince.
Yeah, him thanking Vince. Is he going to start a brand new thing, a thank you Vince counter?
God, I hope not. But we're only one match into this bad boy.
All right.
The next match is Sasha Banks versus Carmella with Reginald T. Fizzlebottom, the Chardonnay, Black Pinot Noir, and other wines for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship.
I will say that while I did enjoy the show, one thing that really got on my nerves was the amount of been there, done that on this show. Especially on the SmackDown side of things. We've already seen this match. By and large, this was the same exact match that we had at TLC.
Well, and it looked like, from the video package that they had before, it didn't really seem like they did anything to each other to further this feud since TLC.
Sasha had a match with Reginald, and he did a flip.
Ooh, great. And speaking of Reginald, sir, get some pants that actually, go around your ankles. Those pants are way too damn short for you. You could see basically half of his calves. Unless he's wearing capris, in which case we're going to have a whole nother conversation. But
this match was fine, but again, it was pretty much the exact same as the TLC match.
Yeah. I didn't have anything to say about this until about 2/3 of the way into it when Carmella started pandering to nobody.
Oh, that's what pissed me off. It's not even that.
There was a surprisingly large amount of it this whole show, considering that we've been into this for a year now.
She was arguing with piped-in chants.
Yeah.
There were fake "you suck" chants, and she started arguing with the fake "you suck" chants. And I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. Well, and then, speaking of BS, and I've been seeing nothing but this, nothing like a good officiating faux pas. So, Reginald is on the outside, Reginald T. Fizzlebottom, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Black Cherry, whatever, is standing on the outside. And Sasha Banks does this dive tope outside, and if Reginald had not been there to catch her, she would have beamed it and probably broken her neck. But Reginald catches her because reasons, And Sasha Banks, after this man has saved her life, repays in kind by doing a hurricanrana, and then the referee throws out the guy who saved the competitor who just got hurricanranaed onto the floor because he's the one causing the problem.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
That made all of zero sense, which is no surprise. And it's always the women that end up falling the victim to these stupid things that make zero sense. It's always women's matches that get this garbage.
The reason why is because even though they're practically being... The only reason why they're taking the women's division semi-seriously is because the rest of the world is forcing them to. But you can tell that they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't take it seriously. They're pretending to take it seriously. That's why it's like this.
It's a shame because the women try. It's not the fault of the talent that the division's like this. I don't think.
And you were talking about Sasha Banks almost like beating herself on the outside. 10 seconds later, Carmella immediately almost kills herself.
Yeah, that reminded me of WrestleMania 25 with Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, where she just basically just like beamed it straight to the skull.
It made me think of the match between Lita and Trish Stratus.
Yeah.
It was really bad. And even Michael Cole was like, dude, that was nasty.
Then they did a whole bunch of shit, and then it's Eddie Guerrero appreciation time, because we can't have a show without it.
Also, Sasha Banks should no longer be allowed to use the frog splash because her little hop is awful.
It looked bad. This was probably, I mean, she has ones that are good. This one was not good. This was not a good frog splash. And then she hits the bank statement after a bunch of other shit, and that didn't matter because they just started doing a whole bunch of moves, and all the storytelling was pointless now. And then Mella tapped for the second consecutive pay-per-view.
Yep. Same exact finish.
And explain to me, now, let's take wrestling out of this for a moment, and let's put this in the context of a actual fight, which is sad that you even have to distinguish between the two, but I digress. In an actual fight, if somebody challenged you to a fight and they choked you out twice, do you think that person would ever consider you a serious threat ever again?
They probably wouldn't consider it after you choked them out the first time.
Yeah. But let's say, okay, you get a rematch, maybe I just got lucky, maybe I just caught you, right? You get the rematch, and then you get choked out again. That's it. You're done. You're no longer viable as a competitor in that title sphere. So what is the point of burying Mella here?
And not only did they do it in this match, they did that to Kevin Owens later tonight.
Oh, I know, and that one is almost more offensive. But at least that one had a decent enough match up to the end of it. This match was just blocked from the start. It never really got better. And then they pretty much just buried any sort of chance that Mella's going to have of ever competing for this SmackDown Women's Championship again.
And it's a shame because she has really improved in the ring.
Considerably.
Aside from almost breaking in half off that suicide dive attempt. Other than that.
This was not her night, and Sasha Banks, she does not have chemistry with. Because I didn't think that their match at TLC was all that great either, and I like Mella otherwise.
I thought it was fine. But again, tonight, it was the same thing. Except it wasn't even as good as the TLC match, because we've already seen it before. Same finish.
I think another thing with Mella, too, is that a part of it is that her matches and the quality of her matches aren't necessarily indicative of her, but of who she's working with. So, like, if she's working with Charlotte Flair, she's going to have a pretty solid matchup, a more solid matchup than she would with Sasha. Or, I think that's really what it is. It's not because Mella's the one who's standing out and making the matches good, and that's no knock. There are just some people that are like that. Lex Luger's like that.
So, what did Skyler think of this match?
Well, let's talk about what Skyler thought of this match. Corey Graves and me don't agree on many things, but both of us can agree that Carmella is a smoke show. Simping it from the first sentence.
Sounds a lot like Jerry Lawler.
I don't disagree, though. Carmella is fine.
She is.
no longer on this show. I have to. Yes. I have to give her credit. Anyway, I just wish Corey would shut the fuck up about it.
Okay, Skyler with the zinger. I'll give him that one.
That was a great save. I do not know how to feel about the format of one person doing their entrance, cut to the opponent doing a promo backstage, and then their entrance for a match. Oh yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad he mentioned that, because this is not the first time they've done this, where one of the competitors will make their way into the ring, and then they'll cut away to either the video package or backstage promo, and then do the other intro.
Dude, they did that for the Drew Goldberg match with a promo, and then they did it for this match. They did it 2 matches in a row.
I do not know why they do that, and it bothers the hell out of me, and they've done that consistently in the past year or so.
Also, Sasha Banks' promo was awful.
Bad.
Her dialogue sounds like a white guy trying to write what he thinks a cool black girl sounds like.
You know why that is? It would change that to 70-year-old man running the show, and you're correct.
It's so painfully, this is what black girls say, right? That's what it is.
You would think that with her husband Ryan Ward being on the writing staff, that she could get something better to work with.
Oh, God. She sounded so unlikable and obnoxious and tone-deaf during her interview. She sounded like a cartoon character in a terrible cartoon.
Yeah. And then, and he mentioned a couple other references. The Street Profits at SummerSlam, they did that with. The New Day at TLC, Sasha here. Do you guys like it or hate it? We just talked about that. Carmella's never going to be Trish Stratus or Mickie James or any of the horsewomen, but she has gotten much better. What is especially good about her work is that as a heel, she does all the heel things her character perfectly demands, such as showing off, taunting the crowd that isn't there. Sky, come on. Perfect use of mannerisms and trash talk.
Congratulations, she's annoying.
But for who?
She was arguing with fake piped-in chants.
See, that was my thing that was disappointing about this, because I think Carmella is talented enough where she can be annoying without having to do that.
Like, she was trash-talking Sasha, and I was like, that's good. And then they ruined it with the phony stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. That's why that was disappointing. But her wrestling has also become much smoother, and while still basic, her moveset is effective in doing what it needs to do. My only complaint about Carmella is her offense could be a bit stiffer and harder in places. I would agree with that. Sometimes she does kind of go a little soft, and it doesn't look like she's trying to hit anybody. Reginald being kicked out for his constant interference is good, because the WWE referee did his job this time by knocking out somebody who did nothing wrong.
Sometimes I feel like Skyler watches like a different show than we do.
I know, it's the weirdest. It is the weirdest thing. I blame Sasha and Carmella equally for Carmella's dive. Sasha moved too close into the ring and close to the ring, and to the right of Carmella did not fully catch her.
Yeah,
Carmella did not confidently. It's true. That's true. Yeah. Carmella did not confidently do the dive, and she went to the bottom and middle rope instead of the middle and top, and she ended up tripping a bit and looking awkward. Agreed.
And almost breaking her spine.
Thankfully, no one got hurt, and the match continued with Carmella getting a close 2 count. They go into the finishing sequence with super kicks, pin attempts, finishers ending with Sasha retaining. Overall, this match was better than TLC. Disagree.
I disagree.
While I still have issues with both women having shallow gimmicks, I put that more on WWE writing than anything else, and think both girls did a good job here. Well, they tried.
They did try. They did try.
And most of the time when we talk about the women, it's not the women themselves. They tried.
Whenever we criticize anyone on this show, most of the time, it's WWE's fault.
Yeah. And speaking of things that are WWE's fault, it is now time for my favorite part of this show.
Oh, God. I have never been more confused in my life.
What are you talking about? So here's what happened. And I'm still trying to process this. All right, New Day and Sammy did a promo. It was a New Day and Sammy promo.
And they spoiled Kofi coming back.
Brody Lee outfits were cool.
Yes, there were. I like the Brody Lee outfits.
So then, WWE decides, in the middle of a pandemic where there's no fans, why don't we have a musical performance from a guy who's performing for pretty much nobody because there's nobody in attendance? But let's have a concert. Because
who the fuck is Bad Bunny?
So Bad Bunny is apparently this trap rapper who is apparently part of the popular money chain of industry rappers. I had never heard of him either up to this point, because WWE, when they look at those big name industry rappers, they're like, all right, who's like the C-level guys we can get? Who are the guys that Bo Dallas can out rap?
Who's the one with the shittiest haircut?
And here comes Bad Bunny to perform this Booker T themed song.
Why was it about Booker T?
It's
2021. Why is this part of the show centered around Booker T?
But what's better than that was Booker T in the middle of the ramp, deadpan staring the camera in his GI Bro outfit from 2000 WCW.
Why?
And for the whole song, while Bad Bunny is hopping around this dude, literally hopping around.
I'm surprised Booker T could keep a straight face during that.
He's just dead staring at the camera. This cracks me up. This was so out of nowhere.
It was just so... Like, it was like culture shock. It was that random.
I was like, what even is this? It made no sense. And then Booker T, fun fact about Booker T, WCW 2000 and GI Bro was in fact the last time that Booker T ever cut his hair. And now here we are in 2021, and that's why his hair is down to his ass pretty much.
Well, I guess this means he's going to go get a haircut now.
And, well... I'm not sure what.
You know who else needs a you know who else needs a haircut? Bad Bunny. That hair was the worst. He had triple pigtails.
It's a style thing. I don't know. It's not my.
No, it is not. No, it is not style. It is a sin. It is a mistake. It is an error.
Well, it's this thing went for what, 3.5 minutes?
That's 3.5 minutes too long.
It kept going, and then Booker T did "Can You Dig That Sucker?" and without Booker T's music, that was just the end of it. And then they did a merch plug.
Yeah, so they did a merch plug
to finish this whole thing. They did a merch plug for Bad Bunny,
and I'm just like, what?
Not Booker T's wrestling company, not for anything, but for Bad Bunny's merch. This was amazing.
What did Booker T have to do with this?
This was the greatest piece of I don't know what the hell's happening that WWE has pulled out
in
several years.
I had a Mountain Dew before this happened, and I'm like, did someone like lace my Mountain Dew with something?
Everything about this was incredible because it was just so out of nowhere. It made no sense, and to anybody who wanted a quality wrestling program, they would have hated this. But because this was so stupid and we're so used to this from WWE, I got the biggest kick out of this.
Dude, when I was live streaming the show with Jeffrey Albritton, me, him, and everyone in chat were absolutely confused.
I was dying. I was laughing my ass off. I don't think I've ever laughed at something that much in WWE. I possibly ever.
Just pure confusion.
It was hysterical. It was beautiful. It was so dumb. It made no sense, and it had no business being on this show, and I loved it.
And apparently Bad Bunny is going to be feuding with, and Bad Bunny and Booker T are going to be feuding with The Miz and John Morrison. Apparently they had a match on Raw or something.
Yes, because,
great.
Hey, ho, ho, Miz and Morrison are a bunch of hoes. Hey, ho, ho, I've got music, and so does John Morrison. Hey, ho, ho, Money in the Bank. I think I pretty much summed up their songs.
I will say the only legitimately good part of this was when later in the show when they did that promo backstage, and John Morrison was like, Booker T's right behind you and you said some stupid stuff, so I'm going to dip, and John Morrison just left. That was funny.
That was funny, because John Morrison's not stupid.
John Morrison has good comedic timing.
This might be a little bit, but John Morrison, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But up next, now that we've gotten through the
Bad Bunny concert.
Now that we've gotten through the Bad Bunny concert, it is now time. And you know what the saddest part was? Is there weren't any of the bunnies that you like to see hopping around. You know what? Never mind.
Dude, you know what made this even better? If Heath Slater's bunny would have come out, like the Adam Rose Heath Slater bunny.
I would have much rather had Heath Ledger's bunny come out.
I want to see Bad Bunny versus that bunny at WrestleMania.
That's right.
Did Skyler say anything about the Bad Bunny concert?
He just didn't understand what Booker T was wearing. He didn't get it.
That's what was confusing?
Yeah. which I thought that was that was the one thing I understood, was Booker T was wearing his GI Pro outfit.
As opposed to everything else.
And I could not tell you a word of what that dude was saying. That whole match. That whole time, I have not a clue what that dude was talking about.
I love Skyler. I love Skyler so much. Why is Booker T wearing that?
All right. It's time for the Women's Rumble. Now, I don't know how y'all want to start this, but we went through, this is a pretty long match. All in all, compared to other Women's Rumbles, this one was actually pretty darn passable, if not good, once it got going.
Yeah, I will agree. There was definitely like a waiting for things interesting. That if this match would have had fans, it would not have been as kind of tedious at points. But that's just because with no fans, you're like, it's not going to get interesting until like half the field's are already eliminated.
Yeah, and the thing too is like I like the returns this year. Well, I like a return this year. I thought that was fun. And again, as I suspected with this, they weren't going to be able to capture the pops of these returns the way that they did before, just because there weren't fans in the arena.
Yeah. They
were automatically at a default there, which is probably why this didn't feel exciting until like the last 10 minutes, and why I felt kind of bored through most of this. But it's...
And do you remember when we were reviewing TLC that you said you were wondering how they were going to get through a socially distanced Royal Rumble? They just didn't do a socially distanced Rumble.
Yeah, by not giving a flying
They
fuck
did not care. and me and Jeffrey noticed this, and we just started laughing because we were like, they do not care about social distancing at all.
Well, let's break this down here as best we can. We start out with Bayley, who I thought was a great first pick. I wish we could have seen her get eliminated, Kevin Dunn.
Yeah.
But Bayley, I am honestly, of anyone on the women's roster right now, I am probably the highest on Bayley. I mean, again, she puts up with a lot of crappy WWE writing and WWE storylines, but she's somebody who's really trying to make the most of it, and I think does make the most of it.
Name another human being that would willingly have coal embedded into the back of their head.
Which was incredible.
Yes. And it led to the commentators making fun of Michael Cole, which was great.
If they actually go through with Bayley versus Michael Cole at WrestleMania, I would be okay with it.
Absolutely.
I'm at that point. Well, number 2 was Naomi, which is cool.
I hate Naomi.
I know you do.
Everything about her is annoying.
I didn't hate her being here. I'm like, oh, okay.
I will say the thing I used to hate most about her was her in-ring work. She has improved, but everything else about her is very annoying.
The only thing that bothered me about her this time was the Walmart Skechers for Kids light-up shoes. I'd rather her just not wear those.
Not the tape outfit where all the tape just said the word glow all over and it was bright orange.
Yeah, but that's been her shtick for some time. And
what does feel the glow mean? What does that mean?
Joshua, you're going to have to stop this. You're putting logic where things don't deserve logic. And then number 3 was Bianca Belair.
And I actually
Spinebuster that she nailed
mid live stream. I called it. I was like, my pick to win, who I want to win, is Bianca Belair, and she did. It made me so happy.
And she was a great choice for it. Coming in number 3, then in comes Billie Kmart, whose future definitely involves sitting at a Kmart in front of the magazine section. And her whole deal is she's trying to find a friend to take her own autograph, I guess. So that was her thing. There was a big splash and burn when there was I forget who it was, went off the top rope and just straight up missed.
It was Bayley.
It was Bayley, and then I forget who else. Somebody else comes out, and then
Shotzi Blackheart.
Shotzi Blackheart
comes out in a tank.
In a tank that was okay. I'm gonna try and break this. She comes out in a tank, but she's riding, which is clearly like some little mini cart. She rides down. The people see her in the ring, and then she shoots something out of the tank.
She was aiming at Billie Kay.
And missed, obviously. But I want to know what it was that she actually shot out of the tank, which was so stupid. She comes in, does a couple of things, and then she gets eliminated.
I have a question. Do you know if Shotzi Blackheart is well-liked by wrestling fans or anything like that?
She's very polarizing, from what I've seen.
I do not like her. Her in-ring work appears to be just basic and just But her gimmick is like every gothic emo kid in high school. And they're just begging for, like, I wear weird stuff so you'll notice me.
Yeah.
That's her gimmick. And I don't like...
It's kind of sad how many people have that gimmick in WWE.
And like 10 minutes later, Ruby Riott comes out, same thing. Look how weird I look.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the thing about Shotzi Blackheart. I think that there's somebody in WWE who does not like Shotzi Blackheart because they eliminate her, and then another, like, 10 women come in before there's another elimination. There's a solid 15 to 20 minutes before somebody else gets eliminated.
Absolutely hilarious.
So not only was she the first one out after that big tank entrance, but then everyone else made her look like a total chump for being eliminated that early.
Honestly, whoever decided to do that, good on you. Good on you.
Yeah, I've got nothing. I don't really see what Shotzi Blackheart brings to the table. I mean,
she looks weird, though, Sean. She has tattoos and green hair. She's weird, Sean.
I will admit I haven't seen most of her other work other than the little bits that she's done in the Rumbles, so I can't full-fledged judge. But right now, as it stands, she's just not doing anything for me. Then there was in this whole matchup, there was a whole series of people kicking very softly.
Yep.
And the camera caught it a lot.
And also, there was a lot of people accidentally bumping into each other when people were trying to do spots.
Yep.
Too many people in the ring at the same time.
Yeah, which, let alone, pandemic aside.
Pandemic aside, a lot of the people, like, can you imagine putting Dana Brooke in a crowd full of people and expect her to be able to do spots?
Oh, well, we'll get to her.
Oh my, let's go ahead and get to her right now. I was in tears, just about in tears laughing when she did that flip off the top rope, and they do not trust Dana Brooke to do anything without hurting herself, that when she did a regular flip off the top rope, they had everyone converge in the middle just to catch her.
8 other women?
You can tell that they were like, all right, Dana Brooke is in the ring. Idiot-proof it.
Yeah, everybody bunch up.
Then why do they continue to employ her if they don't trust her?
I don't know.
Because she's blonde and muscular.
Well, speaking of blonde and muscular... Well, let's start with muscular. Shayna Baszler then punches the photo that Billie Kay offers her.
She punches the photo and missed.
Yeah, just punch Billie Kay. That was why.
She tried to punch the photo and missed.
Why, Shayna? Just stop. And then Jillian Hall shows up.
Oh, no.
Because Jillian wants to be Billie Kay's friend.
Billy and Jilly.
So, listen. Props to WWE for bringing Jillian back, because it was somebody I was not expecting, which I'll give you credit for. That's the whole point of the Rumble.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. But then to have not 2 picks later, Victoria, to come out and start kicking everybody's ass. Victoria looked great. I liked the spider outfit that was an homage to her days as Tara in TNA.
I will say Victoria was the first time that we noticed the weird drone camera, because Victoria actually looked like a video game character.
Now, for whatever reason, WWE used a drone to get the cam of the people coming down the ring, and the focus of this was like blurred in the back and really like hyper articulate in the front focus. So it made it look like, for those of you who've played SmackDown 2 Know Your Role, it made it look like it was CGI, and it wasn't. But it was just the way that drone camera was set up.
It didn't look real. It looked like you were looking at it again. It looked like CGI. It was weird.
it didn't look real, and it was a little nauseating because it was like a change in focus that was like not, it wasn't natural.
Yeah. Like, so, I feel bad for people watching this show with bad eyesight.
And then we got 2 Widow's Peaks. Neither of them were good.
Oh my, the one Peyton Royce did was just the worst. Victoria's connected a little bit. But Peyton Royce's, like, what was the damage done to the knees of her opponent? Her opponent landed on her knees. Is that what it was supposed to do?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It looked awful.
Sure. I'm not even sure she was sure. But this also exposed a bit of a problem I have with WWE. It's like, I understand the intentions of having a women's rumble, and you've certainly got women with NXT and stuff you could do with this, but really, there were only a couple feasible winners of this matchup. And it kind of shows that the women's roster, even though they've been trying to bolster it, is still fairly thin.
It is so thin.
And then comes Rhea Ripley, who was one of the few winners, and then things started getting better.
Yeah, when Rhea Ripley came in, things started improving, and she just started tossing people left and right. I was absolutely terrified when they did the powerbomb thing with Dana. I was petrified. I was like, I was worried that, especially when she'd slung her towards the apron that one time, and Dana's head just barely missed the apron. I was like, good God, be careful.
Yeah. Yeah, then they did that apron bomb, and it was like, holy
And
Christ.
It looked brutal.
And, yeah, that was, and then we got Tori Wilson, who is the workhorse of the Rumble.
Yeah.
Oh, Tori Wilson, God bless you, Tori, but she's one of those women who is never known for her work.
You can always tell which women are not that good at wrestling because they all have the same sit-out facebuster finishing move.
You can also tell the ones that aren't good at wrestling because Jerry Lawler's voice ups 3 octaves.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever they show up.
Why? They had Jerry Lawler call this Rumble on purpose.
Oh, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. Just to be lecherous.
Just for the sake of knowing that he'd say something ridiculous and that people would freak out for. They definitely did that.
Absolutely. They're just trolling people.
And then pick number 18 is Ric Flair. And I popped. It was the funniest thing to see Rick come out like he was actually going to wrestle in that match. And I honestly wish he had gotten in the ring first.
All right, Sean, you're going to have to take over for a few minutes. I will be right back.
Well, this is Ric Flair. Ric Flair shows up at pick number 18. And everyone's like, wait, it can't be Ric Flair. It's actually
all right, I'm back.
Music. And it's actually Lacey Evans.
I was legitimately convinced that Ric Flair was going to be in the Rumble for a good 10 seconds.
I wish he had gotten into the ring first and dropped an elbow on his jacket and then been like, oh, wait, it's not actually me, it's Lacey.
Yeah.
But
then
still,
they
it was great.
They destroyed the feather coat, and feathers were all over the ring, which I thought was funny.
Well, let's talk about why that happened, because Lacey apparently doesn't understand what pissing somebody off, how that works. So you screw somebody over earlier in the night, and then you're like, oh, I'm in the Rumble. Let me just completely turn my back to that person while wearing their robes. I'm sure nothing's going to happen.
And then Charlotte's screaming at her, get out! Get out of the robe!
Which then just feathers go everywhere. They brawl on the outside, and then they don't have any interaction, and they're still both in the Rumble for another at least 10 minutes.
And Lacey gets eliminated by somebody else.
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all. I was like, don't you want to further that feud, though?
Apparently not.
I don't understand.
It's because they wanted Charlotte. They wanted the feud to continue, but they wanted Charlotte to be in the final 3. But they didn't want Charlotte to eliminate and get revenge on Lacey. So they booked themselves into a corner.
Yeah,
again.
I suppose that's probably as much justification as we're going to be able to glean off of that.
God, now my brain is starting to run on WWE logic. I'm concerned.
I know. That's sad. Mickie James looked awesome. And then, what is up with Nikki Cross's Fireworks Tron?
Her new music's awful.
What happened to Nikki Cross? You want to talk about hey, I'm different because I'm pale and different. Nikki Cross who actually had something when she was with Sanity and actually had somebody and a group that could actually work with her, even though that wasn't a real group because X-Pac wasn't in it.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Back then, Nikki had potential, but now it's like, what is she even doing?
John Cena beat the Nexus because the Nexus didn't have X-Pac.
That's right. That's right. Plain and simple. And then, oh God, and then WWE legend Alicia Fox comes in.
God,
and wins
fuck
the
my life.
24/7 title mid-Rumble.
Whenever Alicia, for the past, like, decade, whenever Alicia Fox is on screen, something cartoonish, stupid, and goofy is going to happen.
Well, enter R-Truth, who's like, oh, right, this isn't the Women's Rumble. In fact, I'm not even in a match tonight, so I guess, why was he even there? Why was he even at the show? He wasn't booked, damn it.
He literally flew to the show for this.
What sense does that make?
Just think,
Why?
in kayfabe, he went to the show because he thought he was in a Rumble match, but he was actually in neither. But he went to the show anyway.
And then, of course, they do the Rumble switcheroo where R-Truth wins it again. And then, I'm just going to skip ahead here. Tamina comes in. Oh, thank God. We're going to have this for Rumble to save. Tamina comes in and does the one move that she knows how to do, which is a standing side kick.
Remember in 2012 and when she could actually sort of wrestle?
Yeah.
What happened?
WWE.
She got so bad.
Yeah, I don't know what it is and what they did with her.
I'll tell you one thing that doesn't help. Her wearing 10 pounds of clothing whenever she wrestles.
Yeah.
She looks blown up and exhausted 3 seconds to a match. Take off the sweatshirt and the jacket.
Yeah. I don't think we want that.
Then have fun getting blown up 3 seconds into a match.
Well, it's all she was in here for pretty much just a cup of coffee. Then they did the Naomi save spot. And by the way, I'm going to go on record, unpopular opinion, but I'm going to go on record right here and say this. I am so tired. I understand that these saves are kind of cute and fun, but let me say something. If your back is on the floor and your feet aren't, you're fucking eliminated. Okay? This whole 2 feet on the floor thing is dumb. If your full body is on the floor, you're eliminated. It really shouldn't be this, oh, I stuck my feet up, so let me just hop on my back so I can get back in the ring.
This is one of those occasions where WWE selectively enforces one singular part of their rules.
I know, and I understand Kofi couldn't do it this year. Naomi's in the Rumble. I get why you did it. I'm not saying that I don't like it. I just say that this kind of whole thing is kind of run its course. Like most things in WWE, it's just overdone. And tired.
WWE likes to beat a dead horse with another dead horse.
And speaking of beating dead horses, Vince McMahon decides that the big babyface pop return that would probably get the Hulk Hogan and Road Warrior pop for the Women's Rumble is Lana. I guarantee you that Vince McMahon thought that Lana return was going to be the pop of the night if fans were going to be there.
Lana is not a wrestler.
She's got that front face buster. The X Factor, actually.
And they revisited the feud with Nia Jax for some reason.
That was the only thing about Lana being in there that I even cared about, was that she finally got the one up on Nia. At least they're paying that off.
Are they paying it off, or are they trying to get it to go somewhere? I hope not. Just have Nia Jax versus Lana. Loser leaves WWE forever, and then it's a draw, so they both leave forever.
Well, speaking of leaving forever, then we get Alexa the Fiend Bliss, who comes in the ring, gets beaten up. She pulls them apart. She's about to turn into, I'm assuming, Predator, and Rhea Ripley just throws her out of the ring before the lights can change enough for her to change into whatever she was going to change into.
I love this so much because, you know, Rhea Ripley loves Dragon Ball Z, right?
Yes.
In Dragon Ball Super, there is a group of girls that are doing a transformation, and mid-transformation, Android 17 just shoots them with an energy blast, interrupting the transformation. Rhea Ripley was Android 17 in this match, and I loved it.
Yes. I love this because don't do this stupid cartoony Firefly Funhouse garbage in the middle of the Rumble where you've gotten 95% of the way through legitimately. Don't do it. I'm glad that they cut this off at the knees before it got straight up.
Me too.
It's because the last thing we need is some lady to be set on fire in the middle of this damn thing and have the whole thing be sour to shit.
Dude, did you see on Raw where they had Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Cross, and every time they cut away from Alexa Bliss and cut back to her, she was in a different outfit?
Yes, I did.
Atrocious.
Sadly. But,
she's magic! I hate you. Anyway.
Then Ember Moon comes in, which was a nice little surprise. What was more exciting about that was she did a little tribute to MF Doom, who was a rapper who passed away at the end of last year, which was kind of cool as far as the mask that she wore to the ring. And then Shayna eliminated Lacey, which we talked about already. Tamina got her only move in that she knows, the standing sidekick in. And then, okay, another complaint. Why is it that no tag teams can ever be a tag team in the freaking Royal Rumble?
Because it's every woman for themselves, Sean.
Stop it. They did it with the men's Rumble too. Nobody can be a tag team. What's the point of having a tag team, which isn't legitimate unless Six-Pac is in it? But what's the point of trying to have a tag team if the second that another opportunity comes along, you're just going to throw them over the top rope? Is there no allegiances? Is there no faith and trust in wrestling anymore?
Sean, it's for the pop. It's for the ooh.
Oh, at some point, when you've done it in every single Rumble multiple times, where's the pop?
But Sean, the 24/7 title's still funny.
You're right. Of course it is. I'm sorry. I'm wrong. I'm not thinking correctly.
Things never get old. Goldberg is still a wrestler that's good.
That's right. My bad. I'm sorry. And then
Vince McMahon is still a creative genius.
Well, and then Shayna and Nia get eliminated, and they come back into the ring and start beating everybody up. And all of the referees, which every single referee on their payroll is out there, and not one of them goes in there to try and take the two women who are not in the Rumble out of the Rumble.
And then Nia and Shayna just decide to leave on their own.
Thank you, referees, for doing anything. What's the point of having every roster member referee there to look at freaking feet, but not to actually stop illegal activity?
But Sean, their feet have to touch the floor. I have a question. If you cut off someone's legs in the Rumble and throw their legs over the top rope, are they eliminated?
Well, see, AEW already solved this problem because they had that legless guy at the Rumble. The Rumble. And he got eliminated, so it looks like that they've already passed this. This plane has already been crossed.
Oh, God.
In pro wrestling. Because that's where we are in 2021, ladies and gentlemen.
No, then they'll say you have to throw them and their feet you have to throw them over the top rope and then their feet have to touch.
That's right.
So if you cut off someone's legs and throw their body over the top rope, they can get back in.
It's like the tables rule where you can only put somebody in offensively through a table unless you're Big Show because you're a fat fuck. And we're going to that even defensively you're going to lose this belt. Yes. I love you, Big Show. That's no disrespect.
God,
I mean that in the most endearing sense. And then it's down to Rhea, Charlotte, and I'm not even going to mention Natalya, but Rhea, Charlotte, and Bianca. And they threw out Charlotte, and that would have gotten a huge pop.
Yes, it absolutely would have. It would have gotten a huge...
They did the double HBK 95, which looked awesome. Them trying to slowly come back into the ring together because they want to finish it together. In the last 10 minutes of this match, it really picked up.
When it was Rhea and Bianca going back and forth, it was great. It was freaking great.
Yeah, it really was. And the finish was great. They did a double slam, of course, ruined by Kevin Dunn because he couldn't see it.
Thanks, Kevin.
But then they did the finish, they did the reversals, and Rhea Ripley ended up being thrown out, and Bianca Belair ended up coming out with the victory. And I loved this finish. And if this the final 10 minutes of this really made this matchup. I wish that they didn't do in-ring promos after the matches.
Honestly, I was too happy about Bianca winning to care. Like, I didn't even listen. I was just like, oh, she won. Yay, I'm going to celebrate a little bit. All right, next match, please.
She cut a very heartfelt promo, which I don't think was scripted. Well, I think was maybe partially scripted, but you could tell she was really emotionally overwhelmed.
Dude, imagine if this was in front of a crowd.
Moment. Yes, in front of a crowd, acceptable. But in this situation, I just, I feel like it was not necessary.
Imagine cutting a promo, a heartfelt promo, in front of 1,000 gifs.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But it was, all in all, the Women's Rumble, it was one of the better ones they've done.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
And now, we get to hear our favorite man.
Yes, what is Skyler's opinion of the Rumble?
Here comes Skyler. Since its introduction, the Women's Rumble match has been very hit and miss, depending on the winner. The other issue is lack of talent the women's roster has. Despite that, I think they put a good Rumble together, even if it dragged in spots. A quick series of thoughts throughout the Women's Rumble. He even subtitled his title. I approve of Bayley's hatred of Michael Cole. Us too.
Yes. Here.
I was sad Cole was not on commentary, just so Bayley could rip him a new one, which was kind of short-sighted. First time I ever wanted Cole on commentary in my entire life, so good job, Bayley. Also, Bayley got Cole cut on the back of her head, which, yeah. Naomi is back, and her and Belair are stupid athletic. I hate Billy Kay's Kmart gimmick. Okay, I added the Kmart part, but yeah. Toni Storm is great and will be a future champion. Jillian Hall. Victoria is back, which is awesome. That's all he said was, oh, Jillian Hall. Victoria is back, which is awesome. Rhea Ripley is a Haas, and I look forward to her main roster run. And it's Charlotte at 15. Yay. Also, why did Charlotte change her gear from the tag match to now? Because they have to match that cricket commercial that they play that I hate.
Oh, yeah. With that weird bean thing.
Yeah. Cricket Wireless, where there aren't any crickets in it. That powerbomb from Bayley to Ruby Riott was deadly. Jesus, Sky. Tori Wilson at 45 is still hot.
All right, Jerry.
I'm not disagreeing with him, but I love the fact that he makes sure he has to mention it.
Dude, we need to have Skyler and Jerry Lawler do commentary for next year's Women's Royal Rumble.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Now, you know what? They should bring back Evolution and have it just be the two of them.
Yes, the entire show.
Rhea Ripley taking a note from Bayley a couple of minutes ago by powerbombing Dana Brooke on the ring apron, which is, and he says this in all caps, is the hardest part of the ring.
Yes, he is correct. It is the hardest part of the ring.
It is the hardest part of the ring. Part of me wanted Ric Flair to enter the Women's Rumble. Wait till you hear the rest of this sentence. Part of me wanted Ric Flair to enter the Women's Rumble since he was a diva for half of his career. Damn. Lacey Evans stealing Charlotte's robe because of course she does. Too many eliminations happening at the same time means we miss Bayley being taken up by Bianca Belair, because I'm pretty sure that Kevin Dunn had like a close-up of somebody's ass in the shot. Alicia Fox and the 24 title stuff with R-Truth is garbage. Agreed.
Yes.
Rhea Ripley tossing out Dakota Kai like trash. Rhea Ripley is going to be a monster. I love it. I hate the 2 feet must touch the ground rule. See, this is why I made him my co-host. Where Naomi can lay back on the floor and still be in the match. Alexa Bliss is creepy and that works. Creepy is not the word I would use.
Corny is the word I would use.
Yeah. Also, thank you, Rhea Ripley, for saving us from Alexa Bliss transforming. All the stuff with Shayna and Nia Jax is stupid. Final 3 of Charlotte, Belair, and Ripley is a solid choice, and Charlotte did her job being the Roman Reigns of the Rumble and getting heat on the final 2. I would agree with that.
She is absolutely the Roman Reigns of this Rumble.
Yep. In the end, Belair did it and won the match, which is great. She's finally shining as the star that she is. Ever since her debut as the first Mae Young Classic and a great winning match against Kairi Sane all those years ago, Valera's been on my radar. Now she is experienced, polished, and ready to become champion. And Sasha Banks is the perfect opponent due to the parallels that can be drawn between both women. A good women's Rumble match and the perfect winner. Thank you, Vince, too. This ain't right.
He's starting the thank you Vince counter. My God.
I don't like this thank you Vince counter thing. This isn't good.
I haven't read these notes, and I'm scared that my predictions are coming true.
I'm disturbed. I'm a little upset right now. I'm a little disturbed because we've got 2 more matches, and I'm afraid of what he's going to write.
Oh, God.
But speaking of the next match, which I thought was the best non-Rumble match of the night, except for the last 2 minutes
The
of it.
finish ruined this match.
Kevin Owens competing against Roman Reigns for everybody's favorite Laffy Taffy Jolly Rancher belt, the United States World Universal Galactic Federation Heavyweight Championship Galactica Candy Cane.
Multiverse.
What are your thoughts on this last man standing match?
I said this in the stream, and I'll say it again. Same thing with Sasha and Carmella. We have seen this before. Not necessarily a last man standing match, but literally 1 month ago, they had a tables, ladders, and chairs match. At the Royal Rumble, a couple years ago, they had a hardcore match for this same stupid belt. And on SmackDown, they had a steel cage match. And this most recent run, it's just Kevin Owens getting beat up and losing over and over and over again. The only thing different about this one is that random guy was slated in for this title shot for no reason, just for Kevin Owens to get back into the title shot. What was the point of that swerve? That said...
yes, Adam Pearce.
Adam Pearce. They put him in just for 3 seconds just to go, ooh, Adam Pearce, and then pulled the plug on that. I don't know why this company does anything. The match itself, I will say one thing that I appreciated was they actually went away from the ring and around the building. That was different.
Now, normally, and it kind of made me laugh about this because I thought about that Roman Reigns, and I think it was Reigns and Corbin, when they had their big hoo-ha, and they went all around the ring, and it was amazing how stale it felt at that time, doing the brawl outside of the ring with the fans and going around and walking your opponent by the head, and Baron Corbin's case, walking by the nape of his bald-ass back of his head to the next spot. And, you know, we were commenting at the time at how stale the back doing all of that was. Mm-hmm. But because they haven't really done that in the Thunderdome, and done that with the Thunderdome's actual tiers and things like that, it felt so much more refreshing.
Well, that's because you don't have a bunch of idiot fans trying to touch the wrestlers.
Well, that helps as well.
I've never understood that. Why can't the fans keep their hands to themselves?
I mean, what do you trust the fans with?
That's why I'm concerned about WrestleMania this year.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a lot of touching.
I'm very concerned. I really hope WrestleMania goes well, because if WrestleMania, and I don't mean like as a good wrestling show, I mean like the fans not doing anything stupid, like whatever rules for COVID they enforce. Like when we talked about not on this show but on my news show, Wrestle Kingdom in Japan. They had fans in attendance, but the fans did not talk. They did not speak. They stomped. They wore masks. They behaved. You cannot do that in America. So, I don't know how they're going to try to do it with the fans for WrestleMania, and I'm very concerned. I hope it works because I hate the Thunderdome and I want it to go away. I want fans back in the building, but I'm concerned. I don't know how they're going to. I don't know how it's going to work.
Yeah. Well, it's only time will tell, and knowing WWE, they could botch this. They totally could botch this.
Dude, we are going to have to put our faith not only in WWE, but WWE fans. God help us. God help us.
Yeah. We are screwed.
We are absolutely screwed.
Well, and but back to this match, which they did. they did that dumb camera angle again, and it looked like they were in front of a green screen.
Oh, and Roman Reigns no-sold a stunner.
And of course, this is a blood feud, so nothing says blood feud and intensity quite like title intros.
Oh yeah.
By Greg the Ham Sandwich Hamilton,
Sean's favorite person.
I swear to God, if I don't mind him I don't mind. Okay, no, I hate that dude, but most of the time he doesn't bother me. But specifically when he says Kevin Owens' name.
You mean you don't like when people say Kevin Owens with 37 O's in the word Owens?
Well, you can't see this, ladies and gentlemen, but on my notes, I said his name is not O, like there's a small O, and then I just scribbled over the whole top of the page like 55 O's, because he does that. It's like oh, like he's literally has like he's in the electric chair, and he immediately just hits the juice, and it's like he just needs to calm down.
Like he gasms mid Owens.
Yeah, and it's just, he needs to calm down. And this was, and then then they fight around the whole time. Honestly, this wasn't bad at all. I thought that, like you said, it was refreshing that they went around, but then they go to this backstage area, and it starts getting funny.
Dude, I was like, oh my God, he ran him over with a golf cart.
That golf cart spot, that is how you do a golf cart spot, not Sammy Guevara running over, I want to say it was maybe Kenny Omega or whoever it was in the football match, where he did like a little like touch of his hands onto the golf cart and dove to the side. Roman Reigns just actually beamed him.
Yeah. He beamed him so hard that Kevin Owens, when he broke through the windshield smacked Roman in the face and busted Roman open.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. It was still out of nowhere, but it was fantastic.
Like, we didn't see Roman for like a good 30 seconds, and all of a sudden, here he is with a golf cart.
Yeah. And then, and before we got to the golf cart, of course, they did that toss of Kevin Owens under the tables, which I guarantee you Kevin Owens wanted to have done because he's always a big fan of those big spots.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one who wanted to jump off the WrestleMania sign last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I guarantee you he's the one who wanted to put that in.
I bet the golf cart was his idea too.
Could be. And then we go out into the practice ring area, and there was a lot of weird set pieces in this, like the ladder where there was no reason to have a ladder.
A ladder in the middle of just empty space.
Just empty space. You walked up to the top of that ladder, you don't be there, nothing.
I loved the random announce table that was just there.
Yeah, but this backstage area made no sense. It was like their storage area where they keep like all of the stuff that they use for the next sets of shows. But then they do the spot on the announce table with no announcers on it. They do the big swanton. Owens does the big swanton, and that doesn't do it.
And this is where you figure out that the weird camera is a drone because it's flying overhead.
Yep. Yeah, I found out about the drone because it was there.
And then, am I the only one that noticed this? When they were coming back to the ring, the Money in the Bank briefcase was just there.
Yes, it was.
Why?
Yep. And then, because I guess Miz doesn't love that
he just left it there.
He said he did.
When I saw that, I was like, oh my God, they're like hinting and teasing that he's going to cash in because everyone's... And I thought this would have been smart because they keep the focus on the WWE title with Money in the Bank, but you can cash in for either world titles. The problem is, I'm smarter than the people who booked this show.
True.
They just randomly had it just laying there for no reason.
Well, and here's the thing, too. It's like... Here's the thing with The Miz, is I like the idea of teasing that he might come in for this with the Universal title, but you look at the guys who are currently holding the belts, and then you look at The Miz.
Yeah.
I like The Miz a lot.
Dude.
But he's just not in the league of star that the people holding the belts are.
Think about this. I don't know what pay-per-view they're doing after WrestleMania, but over the past couple years, the pay-per-view after WrestleMania has been Money in the Bank. The Miz only has a couple more months to cash in that briefcase.
True.
So,
it's true.
The clock is ticking on somebody.
Well, you say this, But I wouldn't be surprised if WWE, I mean, for God's sakes, John Morrison cashed in the belt at TLC, and then they gave it back to The Miz because John Morrison cashed it in.
I still don't understand why they had The Miz lose a match to a random person right before they gave him the briefcase back. I hate this company.
My guess is this, what they could do. They could go to Money in the Bank, and The Miz is like, no, I can't give this up. I mean, I want it back in, like, November, so I got till November. It's a year since when you win it. So this is technically still mine.
Or The Miz has to defend the briefcase in a Money in the Bank ladder match.
Or you get another winner in the Money in the Bank, hopefully not at the top of Titan freaking Tower this time.
2 Money in the Banks at the same time.
Yeah, no, none of that. Maybe but have the Money in the Bank, and then Miz is like, no, I'm the original Money in the Bank. And then everyone's telling Miz, no, it stops in May. You're not the Money in the Bank. And then they can fight for the briefcase, and then Miz can lose, and then whoever wins the briefcase can keep the briefcase.
Oh my! But that would just make the entire 2020 year of the year Money in the Bank became irrelevant. That would just leak it into 2021. Just further devaluing that briefcase.
And you think WWE is above this?
No, I don't.
Okay, so we will see when it happens in May.
I'm still concerned because I do think they're going to try. I do think the clock is ticking on somebody because he only has a couple more months to do anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I don't know.
And I'm afraid it's going to end up being Drew, but it's.
Imagine going from Drew freaking McIntyre coming out with a sword to The Miz, who's arguing with Bad Bunny.
That's where we're at. And and then they do that bump through the screen, and what are those screens built with? What is with those little tiny horizontal tubes?
It's made of paper.
Yeah, it was like that.
Paper and cardboard.
And then Kevin Owens, as he's going around to where they're about to do this handcuff thing, which we'll talk about in a second.
Oh, God.
Owens goes and he holds on to one of the lights and he burns his arm on the light. And he pulls his arm back and he has to talk to the rep about how he burned his arm on the light because he went and held it.
Oh, my God.
Not realizing that it's that it's a massively hot bulb that is on all of those lights, and yeah, if you touch them, your flesh will burn, Kevin.
The dude has been wrestling and jumping off tall things for like 20 minutes. Cut him a little slack.
Yeah, but in all fairness, too, we have long established that wrestlers are not good at basic tools or carpentry or any
Oh my God, is this another instance of this?
Because, first of all, Owens breaks his head. In all fairness to him, though, he did operate that forklift halfway decently.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
That's only because he didn't have to move it.
Kevin, you're going to have to drive this forklift. There
was a talk in the back that I bet you that it was like the guy who actually owned the forklift, the guy who works at the actual venue, like Bruce Pritchard and Kevin Owens, and they're all staring in front, and they're all being instructed, okay, this is the one lever you touch. Don't touch anything else. The keys are already in it. It's already on. Just push this backwards. And I bet you they did 3 takes of that before they actually did this show. And then we get this this finish.
Okay, I have... Well, for one, the thing was botched because apparently when Paul Heyman was trying to undo the thing with the key, apparently the hole for the key was on the other side, but Paul Heyman kept jamming it on that one side thinking he was going to get the hole, so the referee had to stop counting because Paul Heyman wasn't... for some reason, Paul Heyman didn't think, try the other side of the cuffs.
Once again, wrestlers are not good at basic tools.
Or promoters, apparently.
Yes, and
also, question, in a last man standing match, do you have to be standing straight up?
No, he could have just had his feet on there, which he eventually got to, but after the damage had been done.
Why in the... during the stream, I actually got mad and started ranting about this. He's handcuffed by his wrist. First off, why in the world would Kevin Owens handcuff his hand to it? It's not a handstanding competition. He can crouch. And it took him like 10 minutes to learn how to crouch.
Well, the ultimate irony in this is that it didn't matter because Kevin Owens technically won by handcuffing his hand to the thing.
And I was like, why didn't he, like, put one cuff on his hand, wrap it around a pole, and then cuff it to one of Roman's legs to where he can't get up?
Yeah. Well, because Kevin Owens had to be choked out later.
But you have Paul Heyman coming out who allegedly is supposed to set him free, but he can't figure out where the hole is.
Yeah.
That sounded weird out of context, but still. And that entire thing that was botched led nowhere just for Roman to choke him out and win.
Again, this is the second time, and again, just like with Carmella, this is the second time that Kevin Owens has been choked out to end a match. So what credibility does Kevin Owens have fighting for a belt again?
I mean, at least Carmella has other than losing twice the same way, at least up until they didn't make her look weak. This entire feud, Roman and the family have just been beating up Kevin Owens over and over and over and over again.
Well, it wasn't even the family this time. The Usos were nowhere to be found this whole show.
So Roman didn't even need the Usos this time.
This was even cleaner. Well, he did need somebody who knows how to uncuff handcuffs before the count of 10, but we had to subvert that one and kind of 86 that notion, which alone was enough to take anybody out of the moment, by the way.
The ending of this match, in my opinion, just ruined the entire match.
This match was good, but if they had just avoided the handcuffs and gone straight to the choke by some sort of botch of Kevin Owens, that would have made so much more sense. It would have made it flowed better. I still don't like the idea of Owens being choked out twice.
I don't like the idea that Roman Reigns, it takes him 10 minutes to go, oh, I can crouch.
Yeah.
Like, just crouch, you moron.
It was...
Just sitting on his ass for 10 minutes, and I'm like, crouch! I'm so angry about this. How do you not know how to crouch? Because that's what they're telling me on the screen.
Because he's a Universal Champion, Sky. He doesn't get paid to crouch. He gets paid to wrestle. Would you like to hear what Skyler had to say about this match?
Boy, would I!
Okay. Semi-hot take, which is not a hot take at all. SmackDown right now is the current best pro wrestling show week to week, and Owens and Reigns is the best feud WWE has.
Incorrect.
I said it and hate me for it later. I hate you for it now.
Again, he's watching a different show than we are.
Kevin Owens is great as a defiant babyface, while Roman Reigns is the best heel in WWE. That I agree with.
Half of that's true. Kevin Owens just gets beat up all the time. He's good at getting beat up.
He's not good as a defiant babyface. It just means that his booking is bad.
You have to have good booking to be a good babyface. Like you have to be good at being a babyface, and you have to have good booking. He has one of those things.
That's right. These guys must have had a death wish tonight because they went out there and nearly killed each other. I don't know if I agree with that. They brawl inside the ring for a bit and start going around the arena using anything and everything as a weapon. They brawl into the third level of the electric boards, and Roman Reigns proceeds to throw Owens off with no pity. Also, side note, before I continue with Sky's notes, did you notice that there were a lot of steel folding chairs for an arena with no fans?
Yep, I noticed that.
So just saying.
They've been I think they've been doing it for so long that the people who work for WWE are like, just put random weapons around the arena
for where it's convenient,
just in case.
Yeah. We go backstage, and the gift of the night with Kevin Owens getting run over by a golf cart. Why do Samoan men in this company enjoy hitting guys who use the stunner as a finisher?
That is a good question.
Did Roman do it for The Rock?
No, we're not revisiting this joke.
The glass on the golf cart broke when it hit Owens and hit Reigns in the face, getting some juice which added to the match. Owens put Reigns on a table and then splashed him off with some equipment, but that isn't good enough, so Owens put Reigns on another table, used the forklift to get some height, and does a senton like prime Jeff Hardy, but heavier.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. Roman wouldn't stay down, and I had to ask oh God. And he had to ask, of course, which they did mention in this matchup, the most cliched commentary line of all time. He had to ask, what more could these two have to do? They go back to the stage, and Roman spears Owens through the screen. Roman Reigns gets handcuffed after trying to use them on Owens, and Roman does the heel thing of attacking the referee in order to stop the count. Up to that point, the cuffs were fine.
Yeah. I liked him throwing the referee face first into the thing.
Then the only major issue with this match was when Heyman tried to get Roman out of the handcuffs, and the new referee should have kept counting because Heyman took too long. WWE stopped having wrestlers and personality using normal everyday. WWE stop having wrestlers and personalities using normal everyday items and show us they don't know how to use said items. Roman Reigns then used his guillotine choke for the win. Great brawl overall, and happy with the winner. Owens was great, and I hope he gets another world title run, but this is the big dog's yard. You ever notice that Kevin Owens, probably, of all of the crap that the Universal title has gone through with Goldberg and Lesnar and Reigns and Lesnar and Goldberg and Lesnar and Reigns and Lesnar.
There are a few names that are coming up quite a few times.
And The Fiend and then Goldberg. Have you noticed that Kevin Owens has got, like, the worst track record with this belt? And he's held it the longest. He had the reign which nobody cared about because everyone was sucking Chris Jericho's list off. Then he loses to Goldberg in 22 seconds while holding this belt while trying to get it prestige. After winning it the day after the guy who originally won it had to forfeit it.
Sean, you're talking to a guy who a year ago literally did an entire episode on this subject.
And then the second time he goes to compete for the Universal Championship, he gets choked out twice.
Yep. And remember, when he was in the cage match, didn't he get handcuffed to the cage?
He sure did, buddy. He sure did. Oh, God.
Babyfaces can't get over. I wonder why.
Yeah. You wonder why.
Why.
Thankfully, we are approaching the merciless end of this show. But honestly, so far, this match still wasn't offensive, even though there were booking decisions that we didn't care for.
Mm-hmm.
I was still feeling pretty good going into this last match.
Yeah, honestly, same.
It's the Men's Rumble.
So, Sean, I want you to go first. What were your thoughts overall on the Men's Rumble?
I've had some time to think about this. Honestly, I liked it. Did I like it as much as last year? No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Because last year was really magical.
Last year's Rumble is my favorite Rumble.
It's one of my top.
Specifically because Brock Lesnar got to troll the fans for like 30 minutes.
Yeah. It was, and then, I don't know whether you noticed this, they announced Randy Orton as number 1 and Edge as number 2, but Edge ended up coming out number 1.
Oh, they switched that?
Yes, they did switch that.
Just so Edge could win from number 1?
For the wire to wire, even though number 2 is technically still wire to wire.
Then why didn't they announce Edge as number 1 in the first place?
Because stop with your logic.
These people can't do anything right.
No.
They can't crouch. They can't do handcuffs.
The hot start was fine, though.
I'm so angry.
Charging Orton to do this match, and they start going in. Sami Zayn and Randy Orton having a little mini bromance was kind of nice.
I did like that all the heels started going after the babyface. It would be cool, like the sentimental pick. Edge was the sentimental pick.
Yes.
I like how all the bad guys went after the sentimental pick.
Yeah,
Also, I love Mustafa Ali's hair. Continue.
Yes. It's almost like that it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes heels actually work against the babyfaces and babyfaces work against the heels. Amazing. Who would have thought? Then they do that execution onto a table that I'm not sure was supposed to break. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think that they probably didn't want it to break, so it made more sense that Orton's injury would be, or would look more legitimate.
Yeah, I have no idea. You can never tell with these tables, honestly.
And you can never tell. And Orton was so good a seller that I just wasn't sold entirely that his injury was legit, but his selling was so good that I was like, it could go either way.
Yeah, I was in the back of my mind. I was like, he's probably gonna come back out, but I wouldn't have been surprised if he didn't.
Yeah, that's just a tribute to Randy Orton.
Yeah, Randy Orton's awesome.
Yeah, and if there's anybody who deserves to take a break from the 45 minutes of Rumble, it's Randy Orton.
Oh yeah.
And then comes the beefiest man of this entire show.
Yo. My man, Carlito. I love Carlito. This
I do too.
mofo was jacked.
I don't think Carlito's ever looked like that.
Like like back in the day, he wasn't like fat, but he looked like he was skinny fat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He had like the CM Punk bod.
Yeah.
This dude came out jacked, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I think everyone was like, whoa.
Like, oh my god.
Shit. Yeah.
Way to go, Carlito.
Oh, and he looks great, and I guess he's going to be back for more than just the Rumble, which is nice.
Yeah, him and Jeff Hardy had a tag team match against Jackson Riker and Elias on Raw.
Yeah, there you go. And I don't care anything about that other team, but I do like Carlito, so good for Carlito.
The team of Carlito and Jeff Hardy, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, me too. I do too. Especially because they had some good matches themselves.
Do you remember their ladder match where Carlito gave Jeff Hardy the backstabber onto a ladder?
Yes, I do.
That was
awesome.
Brutal.
I do. And then they keep going through here. I'm going to skip a few people. Big E did this electric chair splash, which looked devastating.
Yeah. Dude, one, it's impressive that Xavier can do that. Two, I think he did it to Baron Corbin. Or someone, I can't remember who he did it to, but my God, it looked brutal.
It did. It did. And you know what I loved about that is right before Big E went down, if you zoomed in on his face, he looked like that guy with the twisted smile in Majora's Mask. He had the most evil smile, like I'm about to beat the piss out of this dude.
I'm about to crush this guy.
The devilish smile, which is great. And the only person, then comes John Morrison, who's the only person who could make that drone shot passable because it was part of his gimmick.
And they don't do it. It's like they I can't remember if they did the drone shot or not, but they didn't do the freeze frame thing.
No, well, they had the drone shot, and I figured they probably didn't want to put a hat on a hat.
They should have, though.
And then Elias, nobody gives a crap about him. He doesn't even have the guitar anymore. So he's pretty much done. Although him eliminating Carlito would have gotten heat, though.
Yes.
Because nobody gives a crap about Elias right now. Damian Priest comes in, looked great all match.
Yeah, he looks fantastic. I love his kicks. His kicks look awesome.
His kicks look good. He throws a very weird, wide punch, but I like it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's different. And then the Miz comes out and really shows Bad Bunny by destroying the fake laptop equipment that's out on the top of the
I did
arena.
not need to be reminded of the Bad Bunny segment. Yeah, here we are.
No. You just wait, because Miz comes in and then he starts going around and Bad Bunny comes down and he goes, "Hey, why you breaking my computer? I need another computer. Why you go breaking my computer, man?"
Who has the worst haircut, by the way? Bad Bunny or Daniel Bryan?
I would say Daniel Bryan because Daniel Bryan paid somebody to do that. I can imagine Bad Bunny just kind of tying that up himself and being like, "All right, that's good enough." Daniel Bryan paid somebody to make that happen.
Both of those are severe catastrophes that affect my eyes.
Yeah. And then this Bad Bunny comes and gets to play along with the wrestlers because, we've got people like Shaquille O'Neal fighting Cody Rhodes and some random chick. And
wait,
we
what?
have random C-list actors who are now diving on top of Miz and Morrison and are going to be in a main event. They're going to be in a match at WrestleMania. So, joy. I love when wrestlers get involved in my wrestling to devalue the wrestlers in my wrestling.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Then Ricochet comes in, and I forgot how much fun Ricochet is to watch.
Well, that's because every time you see him, he loses. This poor guy.
Yeah.
Ever since he was squashed by Brock Lesnar, he has been nothing.
Yep. Yeah. And then,
I feel so sorry for this guy.
Yeah, it's just sad because I was really having fun watching all of his spots go down. Then Kane comes in, they do the Team Hell No thing, and we're like, "Yay, Team Hell No!" And then, oh nope, right, can't have tag teams in the Rumble.
Yep.
Choke slam.
Yep.
And then
Was X-Pac a part of Team Hell No? I don't think so.
Not a tag team.
Nope.
Not a tag team.
Team Hell Pac.
Kane and X-Pac were a tag team, so Kane has been on tag teams before.
But Daniel Bryan has not, so can't do it. That's right.
And then comes in the Kool-Aid Man.
Oh, you mean Otis?
Who I am thankful to announce WWE has full-fledged given up on.
Could not have given up on him sooner. Although I will say he gave Matt Riddle an absolutely devastating suplex.
Yeah, and you know what's annoying to me? Because Otis, first of all, his name is badass. It's like Nikola Gigorjevic or something like that, like his real name. He's this big badass Serbian actual like shoot wrestler. And all of his stuff looks good and it lays flat, but they made him into this WWE format, made him into this cartoony Kool-Aid Man
because
stuff.
He looks weird. If someone looks weird, they have to be derpy.
But if somebody actually made it, imagine what they could have done, is if they didn't have that guy talk at all and paired him with Paul Ellering.
Ooh. Just imagine like a serious Otis who didn't really say much and just suplexed people.
Just beat the piss out of
Just
people.
imagine him with Jason Jordan's gimmick minus being Kurt Angle's son.
Yeah. They could have had something really big with Otis, and they made him into the working man's trucker. I'm gonna bring a childhood lunchbox to the ring and value it more than I do the Money in the Bank.
And it has been, let's see, about 6 or 7 months since Tucker cost him the Money in the Bank briefcase and ended Heavy Machinery. And has anyone seen Tucker?
And Tucker's career, apparently, because...
Is Tucker dead?
Because that was the last time. Well, don't forget that at that moment when he betrayed Tucker betrayed Otis, right after that, he was reading from his script about why he did it. And then got punched, and then that was the end of it.
The last time this man was seen alive. Or at all.
And Otis wasn't in there long because Baron Corbin, of all people, eliminated Otis, and that was the most excited I've been for Baron Corbin in some time.
You know you're doing something wrong when you're happy that Baron Corbin eliminates you.
Yeah. Well, I know that WWE is doing something right by basically telling Otis you are not valued at this point. Bobby Lashley looks awesome like he always does.
Yes.
That's all I got to say about that. I want Bobby to get another shot at that world title. I really do. I thought his match with Drew in May or June or whatever it was actually quite good.
Well, Sean, on Raw, he had a match with Matt Riddle for the U.S. title, and he got disqualified. So we're going to have to wait on that. Because you know what I love? I love disqualifications on every show.
Well, at least they haven't finished a Rumble with a disqualification.
Yet.
But instead, we got Christian, and that comeback needed fans.
Oh my God, this needed fans so much.
This would have gotten the biggest pop. There would have been tears in the house.
Yes.
Edge's facials were great.
Yes.
The hug between the two, it was awesome. And Christian looked damn good.
Christian looked awesome. And I will say, it kind of annoyed me when they kept calling the unprettier. I was like, come on, man, it's the kill switch. Are we just going to ignore that like couple year span where they called it the kill switch?
Copyright.
Anyway, that's just me.
Copyright. I guarantee you that Kill Switch was the actual band. Kill Switch Engage was like, yeah, no, we're gonna go ahead and take that. Thanks.
You removed our theme song from CM Punk, so we're removing that one wrestler who uses a name that has Kill Switch in it.
That's right. Yeah, I could see that being it. And then Matt Riddle jumps in on that hug like, hey, I'm a bro, right? And then Ed freaking headbutts him.
Yeah. Like, dude, I'm having a minute with my friend here.
But I don't think I've ever seen Edge give a headbutt like that. I'm like, oh, okay. And
I love
that was
Edge.
Great. Edge and Christian, the only two who actually bothered to team with each other at all.
Yes.
Sheamus came in, got a great double clothesline. Then in comes Cesaro, and then they're like, hey, the bar, you were a part of the bar. I was part of the bar. Let's hug. No, let's just fight because tag teams.
Yep. And he brought back the Cesaro. I have not seen the Cesaro swing in a long time.
I know. Well, that was nice. I mean, he does them occasionally, but he doesn't do them prolonged. And then, all right, and then here comes the one part of this match that I disliked. Well, there's a couple things I disliked.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Seth Rollins.
Yep.
Comes back out, and instead of burning it down and getting what would have been a big pop if they had, no, he's got to come back as this crappy monotone promo Messiah gimmick.
Oh God.
It didn't work before.
They talked about how the last time we saw him was at Survivor Series, and wasn't that when he just kneeled and let Sheamus kick him in the face?
Yes, that was when that Messiah gimmick was going so well that he decided to just
throw a match.
Yeah, that's so. The fact that they chose to bring him back like this, I was
Although to be fair, do you think the world is ready for babyface Seth Rollins again?
I wouldn't even mind heel Rollins if it was just heel Rollins and not, I am a Messiah even though I speak very monotone and everything that I say you're going to want to hear me, ha ha ha.
You even brought back the laugh.
That's literally all he's got.
And throwing matches.
Promos in 2015, when Seth Rollins was the WWE champion and on a tear, his promos were captivating. He drew you in. You believed that he meant what he said, and you wanted to hear him speak. This gimmick has destroyed the Seth Rollins promo. And that alone is why I hate that he came back like this.
I loved his jacket.
The jacket was cool.
Jacket was cool. I want that jacket. And on the stream, Jeffrey Albritton said, "Dude, I'm gonna buy you that jacket." And I was like, "All right."
Well, I hope you have it on when you get thrown out of the ring, because here comes the Brown Snowman.
The Brown Snowman.
Number 30.
Man, the excitement just totally.
The most anticlimactic number 30 since Dolph Ziggler. This Braun Strowman did a whole bunch of nothing, was around for 15 seconds, and then left.
Yeah. Well,
AJ Styles, Omar or Ogus or Otis or what the hell is his name?
Ogus. That needs to be someone's name, Ogus. When Otis turns heel, he's like, "I am no longer Otis, I'm Ogus."
I'm Ogus.
And he's like an evil ogre wrestler. He's painted green.
I cannot remember it now, and you know what? I know
almost.
This is where Skyler This is where having Skyler in person on the show is really helpful, because he's got that stuff on the spot, but I do not. So I just pat shit together and make it into a bit instead, and nobody stops me.
And then you have me, and then I turn that into let's paint Otis green.
That's right. So. This is what happens when myself and JoshAgeddon are left to our own devices.
Yes.
2 hours of this.
Sean slightly derails it, and then I'd blow up the train.
I basically take one wheel off the track, and then he just blows up the tracks.
You take one wheel off, and I'm like, yeet!
And then just to add to it all, Kevin Dunn pumps in "This Is Awesome" chants.
Oh, he did that for the Women's Rumble too, and I hated it.
I hate every time that Kevin Dunn pumps in a chant. I hate it.
At least no one argued with the fake chants this time.
I don't mind the artificial cheering. I don't mind the artificial booing. But the chants, stop.
Yes,
it killed the Undertaker's thing. It killed this. And then Matt Riddle's dumb because he went out of the ring.
He jumped over the rope.
Yeah. And then on his hands and knees and then pushed himself out, basically.
Got punched in the face by Braun because when he jumped over the ropes, I was like, oh my God.
What a moron.
And completely forgot that this humongous brown snowman was behind him. And he had this dumb look on his face and got popped right in the mouth and lost. And I'm like,
maybe go back and sober up, buddy.
Oh, God.
But then we're down to just two, and it's Edge and Rollins. And they're fighting back and forth, and it's pretty hard fought. And then finally, Edge tosses Seth over. Edge thinks he's won it. Randy Keith Orton out of nowhere with an RKO. You think Randy's going to win it.
Yeah.
They do the switcheroo. Edge tosses Randy over. Edge wins the Rumble to the shock of everybody.
I was very surprised.
this would have gotten an even bigger pop.
The
Going
roof.
wire to wire to compete for a title he never lost.
The roof would have went off the building.
Yeah.
God.
And I think that all in all, as a whole, we would like this entire show more with fans in it because they would have really popped for these big moments.
Yes. They would have went nuts when Bianca won. They would have went nuts when Drew won. They would have went nuts when Edge won.
They would have popped for Christian.
They would have popped. They might. I will say, if Carlito came out looking jacked and the crowd barely reacted, I would have been so disappointed.
No, they would have popped for Carlito.
Just them popping for Carlito would have made me so happy.
Yeah, this was a Rumble. I mean, all in all, this men's Rumble was good. Was good. And, there's going to be some complaints too, and this is one thing I want to address real quick. A lot of people are saying, well, Edge is too old. Why don't you leave it to a younger guy? If there's any one person who I am okay with being this old and winning the Rumble, it's Edge.
It's absolutely Edge.
For the circumstances that caused him to retire in the first place, coming back and making the big success story only to have your triceps tear and lose another 9 months, only to come back then and go wire to wire, to be able to go wire to wire and win the Rumble. He is the one person in that entire company that they could have brought in to win that Rumble at that age that I am totally cool with for the sake of what he's built.
The dude was forced in retirement and came back 9 years later, and then a year later he came in at number 1 and won the Rumble.
Yeah.
Who cares if he's a little old?
Yeah.
Who cares?
And all things considered, let's say for all intents and purposes that Edge goes on to face Reigns and actually wins it, which would be a nice, great moment. There's obviously not plans to have Edge be a long-term champion, and he doesn't need to be a long-term champion, but this is definitely one of those moments that I think is worth savoring in that portion of it.
I fully expect that Edge is going to go to WrestleMania for whichever title, and he's going to win, and then the next night, depending on which show he goes to, he might give the belt up and retire. Maybe.
Or lose to Miz.
If Edge wins the title and Miz cashes in and wins the title, I'm actually going to be furious.
Yep. Well, they need heat on the Miz, so
no,
better than
not allowed.
Comeback hero. Oh man.
Oh god, that's that. I guarantee you that's what they're going to do. Why did you say that, Sean? Now I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight.
We just found the people want to hear what Skyler has to say before we wrap this up.
Yes.
All right, here we go. The men's Rumble match. Announcing Edge and Orton as 1 and 2 is smart because it gets the fans excited by giving them something to tune into.
Incorrect.
Well, we'll talk about that because I don't think announcing Edge and Orton as 1 and 2 is smart at all because one thing that WWE really botched as far as bringing this year, and yes, they did have their fair share of surprises, which I'll give them credit for, but they took a lot of the fun out of the numbering.
Yeah, they spoiled a lot of things for no reason.
And I feel like there was no need to do that.
Letting the air out of the balloon.
Yeah. Love the hot start by Edge, not waiting for Orton to get into the ring. Michael Cole, you say Sami Zayn came in at the worst number in Rumble history at 3, but what spot did Belair win from tonight?
I noticed that too. When they were like, the worst Royal Rumble number ever is 3, and I was like, bitch, Bianca just won at 3. 10, like not even a couple hours ago.
As did Flair in what's regarded as one of the best Rumbles of all time, but
ladies and gentlemen, Michael Cole sucks at his job. I do remember Corey was like at one point was like, Michael, why do you like were you like talking to these people or something? And Michael Cole's like, Corey, I'm a journalist.
Yeah,
you're a shitty journalist. And also, that's not something to brag about.
He was talking about Carmella. That was the funniest part about it. Because Corey is like, how do you know? And Cole's like, oh, I'm a journalist.
Show me your credentials. I'm not a journalist, nor would I ever want to be. But, like, show me your credentials at this point.
Yeah. Well, Edge and Randy just keep on fighting after Ali and Jeff Hardy enter the ring. And Edge puts Orton through a table. I am the table. All caps, I am the table, because, of course, it didn't break.
Yes.
And Orton now has to head to the back, and he is, quote-unquote, out of the Rumble. I don't like Orton not being in the Rumble because of that spot, but whatever. Carlito's jacked AF, and he's back, and that's cool.
Yes.
Slightly disappointed no Kofi in the Rumble, but watching Xavier and Big E do their work is good stuff. I like the character progression of Big E getting serious and angry about Ali eliminating Woods. In the future, if Big E contends for a world title, a heel hurting his family like the New Day would be a great way to draw out his full potential. Also, I do not trust WWE to do anything near what they need to do to make Big E main event talent, but that's something else.
Nor do I.
Also, this is the first time the Royal Rumble Big E's actually ever eliminated people.
Is that true?
I did not know. Damian Priest looks good, and his main roster run will be fun to watch. I hate Bad Bunny. Misses stuff, but if it's what gets Priest over, then sure.
What?
I don't know either. I'm not sure.
I feel like he fused two different sentences that didn't relate together.
Yes. He said. Well, I guess Damian Priest. Well, because Damian Priest did eliminate the Miz, so I don't know. At least Bunny does a better crossbody than Snoop Dogg. That is a fact. As if you have not seen this, Mr. Geddon, go watch it. I fully recommend watching that. I'm
splashed
by Snoop Dogg.
Overwhelmingly concerned.
It is the worst splash in the history of pro wrestling on this earth. Snoop Dogg's good at many things. Wrestling is not one of them. Matt Riddle that's not a sentence either. Hold on. Riddle coming out and looked good during his run.
Jesus, Skyler.
At least Daniel Bryan's hair looks a bit better here.
That was not even a sentence fragment.
No, I know.
Jesus.
But the dad haircut is still visible. Here comes Kane, and by God, he's gotten a bit fat. Jesus,
wow.
Guy. Damn.
You know what? Kane is a smart guy. He can write full sentences, okay?
Yeah. By the way, this Rumble had an average age of 39.4. You take out part-time appearances, and you're still only down to 38.2. Granted, nowadays guys are much more athletic and take care of themselves, and that's not true. Guys don't take care of themselves at all. You see how much gymnastic bullshit people do? They don't take care of themselves at all.
No, they do not.
Maybe physically, maybe they eat right, but they do not take care of their bodies at all. Daniel Bryan does not hug somebody in the ring that will betray you. But Priest takes out Kane looking good in the process. Screw you, Corbin, for eliminating Nakamura. Thank you, Corbin, for eliminating Otis.
Not even, just the shift. Right there.
Quickly the tides turn.
My, how the turns have tabled.
Oh, man. That was funny.
That is some good shit right there.
No, that was great. Screw you, Corbin, for eliminating Nakamura. Thank you, Corbin, for eliminating Otis. Corbin went from a heel to a babyface in 2 minutes.
Yes.
Dominic taking out Corbin's got to be cool for the youngest guy in the match, and hopefully he gets better as he gets more experience. Bobby Lashley is a big dude who takes out Priest and is a monster of a man. Lashley and Big E going at it, and what can make this better? The Hurricane.
I forgot the Hurricane was in the match.
Screw you for being a total deletion. I guess he's still upset about that. Could Cole sound... Wait, hold on. Could Cole sound not less have interested in Christian coming back?
I'm sorry, what?
Alright, all the words were there, but they were not in the right place.
It's like the words got attacked by a tornado.
Could Cole have sounded less interested in Christian coming back was where he was going with that.
That's what happens when you sneeze a lot when you're typing.
That's right.
Or when when you have a script and you just put it in a blender.
That's right. And I teared up when Christian and Edge hugged. At least this time when Edge speared AJ Styles, he didn't separate his shoulder.
That is true. That is true.
Also, one-on-one match between these two guys.
Yes.
Could almost not look any greener when he eliminated Big E. Cesaro and Sheamus fist bumping is great, but once again, Sheamus, why would you trust Cesaro in the Rumble? Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman are back, and yay.
The enthusiasm.
Final Four is okay, but of course Randy Orton comes out with an RKO out of nowhere after everyone else besides Edge is eliminated. Did you guys forget Orton? Did you remember he was in the match? Anyways, after a bit more stalling, we see Orton finally taken out and Edge is the winner of the men's Rumble. The Rumble was not that great, all things considered. I would call it an average Rumble, but it still had its good moments, and Edge winning and ending his feud with Orton was the best way to push him forward. Now Edge can move on to new opponents, and if the rumored Edge-Roman Reigns match goes on at the main event of 37, count me in.
I can agree with that. I think the Rumble was better than Skyler said it was, but if we get honestly Roman versus Drew or Roman versus Edge, Roman versus Edge or Drew versus Edge, I'm good with either of those.
I'm happy either way. And honestly, at this point, with the way that this whole thing has gone, this was an average Rumble. I agree it was an average Rumble. I don't think it was bad in any way. But it served its purpose. It was not going to ever compare to what last year's was going to be.
Absolutely not.
From all the circumstances involved, even if there were fans back, this would not have compared to last year. There was automatically going to be a cap to that. But for what it was, I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
And so, as we close out this dual podcast, what are your final thoughts and your rating for the Royal Rumble?
So, again, my expectations for this show could not have been lower. So,
me too.
To say that they exceeded my expectations would be a gross... It's weird. It's both an understatement, but not saying much.
I understand.
It was a good pay-per-view, which shocked me. It was not a great pay-per-view, but the finishes, specifically the first match in both Rumbles, I could not have asked for anything better.
Yes.
But I did not care for, like, especially on SmackDown, the rehashing of feuds and matches and finishes. I did not care for that. The weird drone camera was ass. Bad Bunny literally made me lose IQ points. I want the 24/7 title to burn and rot along with the Universal title. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to give this show a very, a slightly generous 7 out of 10.
Wow, this is actually kind of wild. Okay, so here's Skyler's thoughts. Surprise, this was a good show. Keeping the bad stuff to a minimum and made the right decision with Drew keeping the title and 2 Rumble winners. You have some interesting things set in motion for the road to Mania, and if the rumors of the backstage area being more positively of the back... Hold on. And if the rumors of the backstage area being more positive lately, then it shows due to how much everyone on the show tonight tried. I think what he's trying to say there,
interpret that, Sean.
I think that what he's trying to say is that the backstage environment as far as morale is concerned is improving, and as such it looks that people are trying more, and it showed in the performances tonight.
Sure, that's one interpretation.
My hope is we never see Goldberg again. And the trend of solid shows continues. Will it is the question, and I'm not confident WWE will keep it up, but for now we can all say we enjoyed tonight's show at the very least. Good stuff, WWE, and thank you, Vince 3. Make it stop. His final grade was also 7 out of 10. And now, for my piece.
Yes, what about you, Sean?
It's hard because we've been so conditioned that a good WWE pay-per-view now is just a pay-per-view that's in WWE's formats that doesn't completely suck.
That is true.
And I think we all thought that this show was going to suck.
Well, I thought this was going to be awful.
I thought the show was going to be really bad. And honestly, I ended up having fun. The whole show. I mean, there were certain things that I could have, that were give or take. That opening tag match with the women was blah. But, and again, like the repeated finishers and losing credibility on Mella and Owens. But for what they could have done here tonight, I ended up having a fairly decent time. pleasantly surprised, like the both of you, to the point, and I think this might be a first, that the three of us are in complete agreement on the rating. I also gave this show a 7 out of 10.
We need to do their next show needs to be slightly not as good as the Rumble, so we can give it a 666.
Well, it is the discussion of Satan that promptly closes off the But you know what? This has been an absolute blast of a 2-hour and 10-minute podcast. Josh,
Absolutely.
Again, thank you for coming on to my podcast, and thank you for having me on your podcast.
Subscribe to both TAW Gaming and the Court Martial podcast. Also, subscribe to Colonial Impact Wrestling.
That's right.
Yes.
Got a big celebration that we just finished at the time of this recording, so feel free to take back a look at that, and of course check out all of TAW Gaming's terrific content, from the good to the bad to the downright offensive.
Yes.
He's got it all.
And be looking forward to TAW Elevation, which I am working on as we speak.
That's right. So a lot of good things coming for both channels. Thank you very much for watching this terrific Royal Rumble review. We now have to take our first commercial break. When we come back for the Court Martial podcast, we got another match of the week. We got another great show, the return of Skyler. We'll have JoshAgeddon on again at some point. Thank you all for watching, and we will be right back after this.